Today's show is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with the advertisers that fit your audience. That's Podgo at podgo.co. Podgo, that's where the pods go.
Hello and welcome to the Infectious Groove Podcast, part of the Odd Pods Media Network. Recorded at the 33 1/3 Music Appreciation Center in Speakeasy, located just outside of Detroit, Michigan. The Infectious Groove Podcast is your source for jammy jams, music news, and the best in-depth music discussion. Thanks for joining us. Now here are your hosts.
Hey, it's Russ. I am sitting here all by my lonesome in the 33 1/3 Music Appreciation Center. But with me in spirit is Michelle and Kyle, who are...
also actually here.
No, not really, though. I mean, you're here in audio. They are down the road because they went and got, according to Michelle, they got their brain swabbed yesterday. Which I didn't... Is that legal?
Being precautious.
Is that legal?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. They took a chunk of my brain, not my nose.
Oh, no, you didn't have that much to spare, did you?
No, right? They took part of my memory. It's gone now.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Man, I hope they took the part about the Dawson's Creek spoiling.
Nope, that one's still there.
Yeah, for those of you who may not see our interactions on Instagram, I accidentally spoiled the Dawson's Creek series finale for Michelle some 18 or 16 or 18 years ago, and she hasn't let me forget it. So there's a bit of a hullabaloo on social media about it.
This was also before, like, the internet. Like, and now I feel like there's like maybe a 7-day grace period before you can like spoil shows.
Right.
And like this was like before then.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
It was over for like 8 years and I still didn't watch the last episode. So
yeah. Well, that's on me. It's been explained to me that that's on me.
By everybody.
Right. So anyways, while Michelle and Kyle wait for their test results, they're going to be down the road, and so we're doing this over Facebook Messenger. So you may get a little bit of fuzzy sound from the show, but I think that it's a small price to pay for having the wonderful company of Michelle and Kyle on the show.
I feel like there was a Maury joke that should have been put in there.
Oh,
not the father.
Referencing, of course, the big news that Michelle shared about her DNA last week, which, for those of you keeping track, that was the second week in a row Michelle shared news about her DNA with the listening audience. So, as far as the show goes, we had yet some more fun last week. We had another YouTube video come out, which was a lot of people were asking for us to start doing videos on some of the rare and special pressings we have down here. So we started that series, and I started it off with Michael Jackson history because a lot of people haven't seen that record on vinyl. So that is out. Another cool thing that happened on YouTube last week is there is another YouTube channel dedicated to vinyl called The Vinyl Den, and they have previously given us a shout out for our show, for just on their YouTube channel, saying, hey, I really enjoy this music podcast and you should go listen to it. And their latest video this week, I tuned in to watch because I always do, was on some of their more expensive pressings, like that either they were surprised or no are worth something. And right at the top of the video, he plugged our show again and then plugged our YouTube channel to his viewers, which I thought was really cool.
Well, hot damn.
Yeah. So
is that the one from Michigan?
Yeah. He's from about a half hour from here, which is really cool. I just thought that was really nice. It's another thing that's cool about the vinyl community, that there are a lot of snobs in the vinyl community for one reason or another, but then there are me for sure. But I was actually on another podcast recently, and when I sent them like they asked for a bio ahead of time, and I sent them that I would like to be referred to as a recovering music snob.
You are in recovery.
Every day is a struggle, Michelle. when someone buys records I don't like, I have to accept the things that I can't change.
But they're not making you buy them, right? You're just mad that other people buy records that you don't like?
Right, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So one last thing that happened on YouTube last week was, if you've ever listened to this show and you might say to yourself, why does that guy think that Michael Jackson is innocent? Or why do all three of those people think that Michael Jackson is innocent? Without going into huge detail, I can tell you that you now have a 5.5 hour source that you can go to find out exactly why I believe the things that I believe about Michael Jackson's life outside of music. If you go to YouTube and you search for a documentary called Loving Neverland, it is a very well put together documentary that some folks have done from across the earth to put together a lot of the facts that people don't know about the 1993 case, the 2005 case, a lot of things people don't know about the way Michael was treated by the media and so on. And in any case, I was fortunate enough to be involved with that project and did the voiceover for, I'd say, about half of it or so. So just if you're even remotely interested in the topic, by all means, go to YouTube, search for Loving Neverland, which I think is cleverly titled. It's similarly titled to a very false piece that was put out by a much bigger organization a couple of years back. So if you search for Loving Neverland, they actually broke it up into like 40 or 50 minute increments as well. So you don't have to just sit down and blast through 5.5 hours of information. Because to be quite honest, a lot of the stuff people don't know that Michael Jackson endured, it's a lot to take. You know, like even if you were going to sit down and try and power through it, there's a lot that it's just a whole lot to take in. So if anyone's interested in that, by all means, head to YouTube and look for Loving Neverland. And while you're there, go ahead and search for us and make sure that you're subscribed to our channel. Now, as far as this week goes, besides the hullabaloo with Michelle and Kyle being down the road waiting for the test results, we did have an interview lined up. And last week I actually said, I don't want to say who it is in case something happens, and something happened. The person that I'm going to interview is in another country, and about 30 minutes before the interview was supposed to happen, his publicist reached out the other night and said that there was an emergency and he would have to reschedule all of his interviews. And so that interview has been rescheduled for tonight. So while I'm recording this 2 days before everyone hears it, I'm still waiting to make sure that everything pans out with that. If it does, we will be including that interview with a member of a band who is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame next Saturday. So for the time being, Michelle and Kyle and I pulled an audible, and we've got a different topic that we're going to discuss this week and hopefully bring you that interview next week. So this week's topic is going to be what we talked about earlier. I can't control where or how other people buy physical media, but we're sure going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. So when you're buying your physical media, when you're buying records or even movies or whatever, we're going to get into the hows and whys, like how we do it, how, I certainly will get into how I think other people should do it. And we'll
tell us more.
Yeah. Oh, I plan on it. It's coming in the second half. Having said that, we do have a little bit of feedback from last week, so let's get to that.
Feedback, John.
Don't worry about that. Right. There's rock and roll be without feedback.
Only had a couple of things to pass on from last week. One is, and I apologize, I don't mean to leave anybody out by name. We had a bunch of different comments between Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and the music forums, but pretty much everyone's comment came down to the same thing, which is everyone agrees with us that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum is awesome, but the institution can go to hell.
So who do we talk to about making that happen?
I think we should go first to the museum and then maybe head up to like what if there's an office of some sort. Okay. Knock on the door. I don't know. And then you take it from there. What would your approach be after that?
No.
We're here today to discuss the matter with you of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not this little business you got here. The museum is fine. What we'd like to talk to you about is the institution. Oh, well, what's your concern? No, thank you. Yeah.
Bullocks.
Yeah, we collectively say no, thank you to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And they're going to be like, who are you? And please leave.
Exactly.
Security.
The other thing that I found out was that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Michelle, you asked this question last week, they do have memorabilia from artists who are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at the museum.
Well, that's even better news.
I know, because that was your only concern with not letting people in, was you wanted to get people in that you wanted to see their stuff. So
can it just be called the Rock and Roll Museum then?
Oh, wait. Now we have a problem with the titling of it?
Well, if we're getting rid of the Hall of Fame, which we've all collectively decided, right? That's what everyone has decided.
I believe in my head, we on this podcast speak for the entire earth. So yes. Yeah.
Okay. So if we're getting rid of the actual Hall of Fame, then that needs to be omitted from the museum title.
Okay. When you're making our notes for the meeting, will you put no for number one, and then for point 1A, name change, but make sure to put a question mark. Like, let them know that we're open on that one.
We're open to other ideas, but the Hall of Fame part has to leave.
Okay. And then lastly, somebody on a music forum let me know that Axl Rose is inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame even though he told them not to.
So it was like against his will?
Yeah. So he still has the only distinction of being the only person in the history of rock and roll to ever turn down being inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but then they put him in with GNR anyways. So
Whoa.
It doesn't make any sense at all. So
that's not okay.
But I did want to correct that because that does totally make sense. So as always, if you have some feedback that you want to share with us, and if it doesn't end up being a group mentality where everyone pretty much says the same thing, we're always happy to give people a personal call out and everything. So make sure to get at us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or there's a bunch of different music forums that we're active on, vinyl and music forums. Feel free to leave your comments in there as well, and we will make sure to share them with the entirety of the free world, and maybe we'll even include them in our meeting when we go to Cleveland.
Yeah. And make sure to tell Russ when he's wrong. That's my favorite part.
All right, moving on to music news. Music news. Kyle, what it do?
Mr. Bob Dylan is the latest to cash in on his long career's worth of music.
And cash in he did. So
How old is he?
He's I looked it up earlier, 79.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that we just discussed at length last week. Stevie Nicks sold 80% of her catalog for $100 million, and then Robert Zimmerman gives it the old hold my beer and gets $300 million out of his.
For everything, though.
Yeah, for everything, but still $300 million at 79 years old.
The thing that I read said that they might the actual figure has not been released, and it could be upwards of $400 million.
Yeah, and that wouldn't surprise me. It was funny when I read 300 million. The first thing I thought was, wow, 300 million, man, that's 3 times Stevie Nicks, right? And then everybody else I talked to was like, doesn't 300 million seem low? And I was like, 300 million is never a low number to me. So
no. Does he have 3 times as much music as Stevie Nicks?
Well, I don't even know if it's, well, first of all, yes, he has a ton of records. Dylan does. Plus his career is about 10 years older than Stevie's, and his career kicked off at a very crucial time in America during the social change that was happening in the 60s. So, you have to remember this guy wrote songs like Blowing in the Wind and, Knocking on Heaven's Door. And I mean, there's a million that I'm not even thinking of right now that were just cultural touchstones for the entirety of the 60s, And that's before you worry about everything that he did afterwards in the 70s and so on. And even up to, I remember in the mid 90s and over the last 10 years, people being super excited about new records of his that came out. So, I mean, it's just an astounding amount of material that's very important to pop culture. So, yeah.
I was also reading that there may be some tax advantages to selling off all of your stuff all at once like that, because they're paying a lower tax rate to sell it as a bulk thing versus having to pay taxes on the incoming, continuous incoming of royalties and whatnot.
Yeah. You know what's funny is me personally as a listener, I should never care about, the tax affairs of pop stars. But I remember when I was first getting into Pink Floyd and really learning a lot about the history of their band, I found out that there was a lot of like resident and recording studio shuffling that went on after they made The Dark Side of the Moon for tax purposes. Like they recorded, I think the entirety of The Wall, they recorded in France so that legally they could count France as their residence and they wouldn't have to pay the UK taxes that were coming in from like animals.
Oh my God.
And whatnot. Yeah. So but that wouldn't surprise me at all, Kyle. Like that.
They were saying that if the royalty income from like streaming and licensing and the tax rate can be up to 37% on all that stuff that they have regularly coming in, and letting it all go at once or someone all buying up all your stuff at one time can lead you to pay as low as like 20% or something like that. So it's a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
By just letting all your shit go at one time.
Especially when you're talking about that, whether it's 3, 4, 500 million, whatever it is,
Do you think that people that are getting up in age are doing it so that they can like take care of their family once they're gone? Or do you think it's just like, $300 million when you're 80 years old is like, what's the point?
Yeah, I do wonder what the motivation is. And in some, like, first of all, it's natural to wonder. But then also I'm like, I also, it's your business. You wrote it. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
You were Bob Dylan for 50 years.
Also, if you spend all that money before you die, that's very impressive and I applaud you.
Yeah. Man, I want to see his Amazon account. his UPS driver's gonna hate him.
Feel free to send some our way.
Yeah. Hey, Bob Dylan, if you're looking for something to do with that 300 million, I need you to go to patreon.com/Infectious Groove Podcast. So I would appreciate, wouldn't you die if tomorrow was like, you have a new Patreon supporter and it was Robert Zimmerman. It was for like $100 million.
It was for like $1.
And then we wouldn't have to worry about separating for the show. We could just buy an island and have the three of us there doing the show live from the island.
I'll be so far out of Michigan, you don't even know.
You don't even know. So I know that there was at least a couple of other pieces of music, or maybe one piece with things wrapped into it. What else is going on, Kyle?
There was multiple album, I guess you could say, shock drops on Friday that people were not expecting to have come out.
Wait. Is that another patented Kyle saying? Right there?
Shock drops.
Is that hashtag Super Americans, hashtag shock drops?
I think I got that term from when they shock drop like clothing and shoes and stuff when it like randomly, but yeah, it can be used for this too. One
more thing, I have a follow-up question. Does shock drop have anything to do with how the pregnancy came about?
Maybe. Okay. I can't disclose that information.
You know what? We'll discuss that in the break when we're off air. Having said that,
thank you.
Having said that, Kyle, what kind of shock drops happened this week?
I will say there was one that I was really excited about. Sturgill Simpson released the volume 2 to Cutting Grass called the Cowboys to Arms Sessions, and you can ask Michelle when you sent that picture over, and I was like, holy shit, like, yes, amazing.
And Michelle was,
what did I do?
You just rolled your eyes like usual.
So it's fine. I think
I sent a whoop-de-doo emoji or a gift, didn't I?
I was literally in the record store yesterday buying Cutting Grass Volume 1 because that was the last album that he dropped by surprise a couple of months ago. And I was standing there buying that on vinyl, and then the notification came in that he dropped part 2 on streaming, and I was like, come on, I'm just buying part 1. But as you know, the Cutting Grass sessions are all bluegrass remakes of his older material. It's not new material, and this one, the volume 2, has a lot more songs from his third album, Sailor's Guide to Earth, that I love. My favorite Sturgill Simpson song is Keep Between the Lines, and that is on the new one, so I'm really excited to keep listening to that. I gave it a little bit of a sample yesterday on streaming, but then I went to listening to the first volume on vinyl. Whom else had a shock? I
will say I do love his rendition of In Bloom, man. That song is awesome.
Oh my God. The version on A Sailor's Guide to Earth. It's
fantastic.
It's just stunning. Like the way, if anybody hasn't heard that, and we'll put it on our playlist this week, if anybody hasn't heard Sturgill Simpson's version of In Bloom, the biggest compliment I can give it is I think Kurt would love it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I should have had the crickets drop ready. You guys were both like, no.
I thought you were going to say more after that, but I completely agree.
Yeah, it's so different. It's so different, but I'll just let everybody hear for themselves. It's much easier than me going on trying to describe it. So, so anyways, who else dropped some records?
Ryan Adams and Taylor Swift both had albums released.
T-Swizzle with the second album this year and the second surprise album this year, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about the one her album yesterday, if it was planned or not, but it was a shock to me.
It was a double shock to you then.
It was a double shock, yes.
What did either of you listen to it yet? Kyle, did you hear any of it or no?
I think me and Michelle both listened to it in the car, and we made it through maybe like 1 or 2 songs. But I haven't listened to it any further than that.
Like made it through as in like it wasn't good, or you didn't have more time?
We were waiting for our brains to get swabbed, so I think that's as much time as we had.
And it's not that it's not good. I haven't given it enough, a good enough try to give my actual opinion
to
on it.
Really dig into it. Cool. Well, I still haven't listened to Folklore. I'm gonna get there.
Didn't you just listen to Music to Be Wondered By?
Yeah, I just bought the LP for that yesterday. So yes, I did play it all the way through. Last
for the
night.
First time?
No, I listened to it for the album tournament, but I listened to it twice on streaming for the album tournament.
That good old thing.
Yeah, the album tournament's easy to forget because there was no controversy whatsoever.
That's kind of boring, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There was no shock drops there. But I know it's hard to gauge off of 2 records. But do you remember? Does the new album sound at all in the vein of Folklore, or was it completely different style?
It's more like her old stuff to me than it is Folklore.
Yeah. Well, she just started re-recording all of her first 3 or 4 albums. So who knows? Maybe these songs came out.
And I did take a glance at the track listing, and Bon Iver is on this album again, just like he was on the last one. So I'm curious to see how different he sounds on this as well.
And there was one other album drop yesterday, right?
Ryan Adams.
Yeah. The Ryan Adams one is kind of odd. I don't want to say too much false information or I should say unresearched information, but Ryan Adams was about a year or 2 ago was canceled by the internet for some unsavory things. You can go and do some research on it if you like, because I truly don't want to state anything that's not factual regarding that. But there was a huge blow up about that. He completely disappeared, and then out of nowhere yesterday dropped a record. I'm assuming neither of you got a chance to listen to it.
You sent it today, and we haven't had a chance to listen to it today. To be honest, the only Ryan Adams album I've ever listened to is 1989.
If anybody listening doesn't know, Ryan Adams did a complete front to back cover of the Taylor Swift album 1999 or 1989. 1999. Taylor Swift covered 1999, and then Ryan Adams covered Taylor Swift covering 1999. But I'm not a huge Ryan Adams fan, but his version of that album is fantastic. Like it's
so good.
Every song is totally different. You take a song like Shake It Off, and it's completely different on his record.
Yeah.
But it brings a whole different feeling to the song. So for anybody who might be like, I don't, how could you bring a different feeling to that song? Well, think about the song Shake It Off by Taylor Swift and then realize that Ryan Adams' version sounds like I'm on Fire by Bruce Springsteen. So if you know I'm on Fire, that's how Bryan Adams, his rendition of Shake It Off, and he did the entire record. But he had at least one album come out after that, one studio record, maybe 2. And then the internet controversy happened, and then he disappeared for 2 years, and now a brand new record came out of nowhere. So for me, and especially because I just talked about the Michael Jackson thing earlier, it's very important to me to know if these people are innocent or guilty of very, very bad things. So I kind of want to know that outcome before I decide to support or not support someone.
But what if there isn't an outcome?
Well,
he either did or didn't do it.
Yeah, but if there's no court case, if there's no police, they didn't follow up on it, then you kind of left to your own devices.
So I guess that's a make your own judgment call situation.
Maybe we should do a spin-off podcast where we try to dissect this.
We just decide if people are innocent or guilty.
Yes.
Yep, I like that. Isn't it Stanley who wants to be on jury duty because he just wants to sit around and judge people all day?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'll do that.
All right.
I will say there's one more that I forgot to mention that came out, and I totally meant to listen to it. I did not listen to it, but Chris Cornell's family finally released all of his final the stuff he's been working on all on one album.
Yeah, and it's all covers record, right?
Yeah, well, it has this cover of Patience, and it has Nothing Compares to You on it. I'm not sure what else is on there.
I think there might be at least one other cover too. But yeah, a friend of mine texted me about that last night and said it was great. So,
and it's called No One Sings Like You Anymore.
Yeah, that's what the first text I got was like, what a great name for an album. And I was like, go on. And apparently the text came out of order, like the picture of it showed up afterwards. But yeah, so all sorts of new music for everybody. We may sit around lamenting, and rightfully so, the current lack of live in-person music. But what's happening now is something that we on this show were begging for months ago. Like, hey, artists, if you're sitting around anyways, be creative and get that music out there. So it's great.
And use that technology that you have that you can do that now.
Which is what's happening. So speaking of artists with music out there, our jammies. You guys, I have so many jammy jams this week. I have
how many?
1, 2, 3, 4 songs that I'm going to share, and then a whole artist that people need to look into.
Oh boy.
Yep. So
I'm ready.
I will try and burn through these. Some are going to be quicker than others. One is I have had a Warrant song called Indian Giver stuck in my head for at least a solid week. And if you just heard the name Warrant and you're like the Cherry Pie Guys, there is so much more to Warrant than the Cherry Pie Guys. And the album after Cherry Pie is an album called Dog Eat Dog, which is a much harder rock record and gives you an idea as to where they were going to go. The album, Michelle is so engaged, she's going to have a big yawn right in the middle of my Warrant talk.
Sorry.
Thank you for coming to my Warrant talk. The album, their 4th album, is a record called Belly to Belly that I maintain if you put any song from Belly to Belly by Warrant out on the radio today and didn't say who it is, it would be a enormous hit. Like, it's just really, really good rock music. And although I think Jani Lane is was an amazing songwriter, he didn't have a identifiable enough voice to where somebody would hear it and just go, oh, well, that's Warrant. You know what I mean? Like, it's not an Axl Rose or something like that. So I think you could put any of these songs out on the radio today and not even say who it is, and it would be an enormous hit. So the song Indian Giver from that album, Belly to Belly. This is so random, but the song Channel Z by the B-52s has been in my head all week.
Wasn't that on our playlist a week or two ago?
Probably. When we were talking about upbeat songs and whatnot, I was talking about how I never want to hear Love Shack ever again, so I probably put Channel Z on the playlist.
Yeah, you did, and I was like, that's weird. We didn't even talk about the song.
Right. We can't put this on our playlist because of his weird partnerships in streaming, but Garth Brooks has a song on his third album called Cold Shoulder, which is, I think, one of the most underrated Garth Brooks songs that there is. It's just a great, great song about how, like, a trucker is driving along thinking about, like, everything that's going on at home, but he can't be there to ever enjoy the time with his family because he's got to be out hugging the cold shoulder. And then, like, when he does go home, he gets the cold shoulder because he's got to be out on the road all the time. And it's just a really, really well-crafted country song. And I very recently heard the person who wrote it, I heard their version of it. And the way Garth sings it is like one of those justifications for, like, not every artist has to write their own songs. Garth's delivery of it makes it 100 times better song than the guy that wrote it. You know,
Who wrote it?
I don't remember. I just stumbled. It was a
You
YouTube.
knew I was going to ask that.
It was a YouTube rabbit hole thing the other day where somehow it was just like, you know, oh, here's the original writer of Kyle, will you tell Michelle about YouTube after this?
Does he still he's still in a partnership with Amazon, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, you can, but
anybody who has Prime can go on there and listen to it.
Well, no, he's got, even Prime is weird. To back it up, Garth Brooks has some music available on streaming and it's only available through Amazon, but there's a weird selection of stuff that's available. It's like there's a 2 CD greatest hits that's on there. There's a 2 or 3 CD live album that's on there. And then, like, because he's put out like 4 albums in the last 10 years, 2 of those 4 albums are on there. And then I don't think any of his classic records are on there. So it's a weird mix of stuff. And the short version is Cold Shoulder is off of his third album, which had the hits Shameless, Rodeo, Papa Loved Mama, The River. So there wasn't room for another single. So Cold Shoulder is not a single. So it's not on like a hits package or a live album or anything. So to be determined. You might be able to hear Cold Shoulder on Amazon. You might not be able to.
Will someone just pay this man whatever money he wants to be paid so that we can listen to his stuff on the internet?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, right? You know, I mean, we've gone into this in other shows. Garth is holding out because he's not going to settle for what they want to pay him to be on. So he's making more money going through these other avenues from whatever is available on streaming than if he just caves and puts it on there.
That's crazy.
So I'm with you. They need to just back up a Brinks truck and pay whatever they need to pay Garth to get everything, including the wildly underrated Chris Gaines album on streaming, so we can all hear that. Lastly, my last one is an artist that I champion so hard all the time, and I don't think I've ever even talked about them on the show, but there is a band from the late 80s, and they're still active today, but they debuted in the late 80s, and they're called King's X. It's a 3-piece rock band that the way I describe them most easily to everyone is they're Alice in Chains before Alice in Chains. Like, if I played a King's X song for you right now, there's a better than even chance you would ask what Alice in Chains album it's off of, except these guys were first to it. Like, they did it years, at least a year or two before Alice in Chains came out. And I'm not disrespecting Alice in Chains at all. I'm not saying that Alice in Chains ripped them off or anything. But I'm certain that if you shook Jerry Cantrell awake in the middle of the night and was like, you know, were you influenced by King's X? He'd be like, yes. So I will put a couple of songs from them on our playlist because they're a crazy underrated band. Like I said, 3-piece, just fantastic rock music. So I am really big champion of that band, and I don't think they get enough love, and they certainly don't get enough mentions really in any music media. So if you're on our playlist, listen to some King's X. And if you don't have Spotify, if you're not following our playlist, look up some King's X this week and see what you think of it. What, Kyle, what are your jammy jams? What have you been listening to?
I listened to Sturgill Simpson's cover of In Bloom approximately 40 times this week.
Sweet.
Just because it's that damn good.
It is.
And I couldn't get enough of it. I don't know what it was about it, but I just could not get enough of it.
It's a fantastic cover. It just is.
Beyond that, there was some more new music that came out, which Kid Cudi, not to be confused with Kid Cutie, who is some person that Michelle references constantly that I have no idea what the hell she's talking about.
As that came out of your mouth, I was like, he's dealt with this with Michelle.
Until I met Kyle, and I've only seen it written, I thought it was Kid Cutie, and then he said Kid Cudi, and I was like, who's that? And yeah. And now every time he says Kid Cudi, I'm like, are you sure it's not Kid Cutie?
Well, that was a thrilling addendum to the conversation, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Thanks for clarifying.
So he released his new album, Man on the Moon 3, The Chosen. I will say that it was everything that I was hoping it was going to be. The last album that he released was, to me, not really a flop, but to a lot of people were all pissed off about it, didn't like it, hated on him a lot. So he was very reluctant to release new music. So this is the first, besides the Eminem song that came out a few months ago, this is like the first new stuff that's come out in quite a while from him.
Sweet. And you like it?
He was essentially, yeah, I dig it. And then Jack Harlow finally released his first official album, and it's called That's What They All Say. And I dig that equally as much. I've been waiting for. There's been Jack Harlow stuff that I've been listening to for like what seems like forever now, but this is finally a full. I think he maybe has released mixtapes and whatnot, and a bunch of music videos and singles and stuff. But this is the first full length official project of his, I think, that he released.
Nice. What was the name of the record again?
It's called That's What They All Say.
That's What They All Say. Okay, that's what I thought. Yep. And good stuff. Worth looking forward to.
Yeah. If any of you don't know who Jack Harlow is, he's a white rapper from Kentucky, and the reason that I mentioned that he's white is because it's different. It's different sounding than other white rappers that you might listen to. So
like Snow,
you just, like Snow, or not good. It's
Vanilla Ice.
Southern,
the greatest white rappers of all time. Snow, Vanilla Ice.
It's southern, but not as southern as something like maybe like Jelly Roll or Low White or something like that. It's overall good. He's from Kentucky. He's a young kid, and he put together a great album.
Nice. Right on. Michelle, please, dear God, tell us that they did not swab out the part of your brain that held your jammy jams, because the people need to know.
They did not.
They did not. The jammy jams are still to be shared.
I was having a struggle this week with music.
Oh, boy. Listening to podcasts or audiobooks or any number of other things that you...
No, so I never know this week, I never knew what I wanted to listen to, and I'd put on some stuff and be like, no, this isn't what I want, and put on some more stuff and was like, no, this is still not what I want. I put on the radio and just cycle through it for like my entire 40-minute drive to and from work, and so it was kind of just lackluster.
You didn't listen to 40 episodes of My Daily Drive?
I did do that.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know what's going to be super diverse is our playlist, if you want to listen to that next week.
Listen, I have one band that I don't think recently got turned on to. I think that I've known about them for a while, but just recently put two and two together. The band Wild Rivers, and then the two songs that I have been listening to is Speak Too Soon and I Do, and those songs have been the only songs that I could find that actually moved me this week.
What type of music?
It's like a folky. It's like I think it's a man and a woman.
Okay.
Like doing
Civil Wars ish
harmony. A little bit more than Civil Wars. There's no like. What were you gonna say, Kyle?
I said my personal opinion. I think it kind of sounds like the Lone Bellow.
He did think it sounded like the Lone Bellow.
Right on. Cool. All right. Well, they have a full record out, but there's a couple of songs by him you really liked.
I think they have more than one record out, yeah. But there was two songs that when I heard "Speak Too Soon," and then I immediately wanted to hear more from them. And then I do too, or I do, sorry, as a bonus track off of one of their records. And that one is awesome as well.
Sweet.
So.
Okay, cool. Well, we will wrap the first half of the episode. And one thing I want to say before that is I always say, hey, if you follow our Spotify playlist, I'm fully aware that not everyone has a Spotify account. And the good news is we teased this for a while, and then the work finally got done this week, which is great. We have on infectiousgroupodcast.com, there is a blog post for every episode going back from the one you're hearing now all the way till we started the playlist, which I think was around either late June or early July. So every single episode that we did where there was a Spotify playlist, there's a blog post. So if you listen to an older episode on, the one we did with CJ on grunge, or, like if we did the one we did with just us with the motivational songs or anything like that, and you hear us talking about music and you want to know what we talked about on that episode so you can go listen to those songs, if you go to infectiousgroupodcast.com, go to the blog section, you can find the episode that you listened to, and it lists out the artist and song titles for every song that we talked about on that episode. So that's a good resource too for anybody who either doesn't follow our playlist on Spotify or doesn't have a Spotify playlist. So that is all up. And then every Monday when the new episode comes out, that blog will be right up. So if you're an immediate listener, like we have a lot of people who listen to the show first thing Monday or Tuesday or whatever, you can go reference that blog post right after the episode comes, or after you listen to the episode, which is pretty sweet. So we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to talk about buying physical media. For those of us who still do it, which is a good amount of people, and I assume a good cross-section of folks listening to this show. We're going to get into that, and we'll be back in just a second.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dylan.
I'm Corey.
I'm Kendall.
Together, we host From the Middle, a comedy and culture podcast about being middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives, with points of view that fall somewhere in the middle.
That's right, Corey. We chat about all things, mostly husband and dad life, geek culture, and entertainment from a relatively centrist and regular point of view. We all hear enough about the extreme ends of the spectrum, so we thought we'd create a conversational and relaxed podcast from a moderate perspective.
Flyover state? Psh, more like state fairs. Stock. Guys, what's something that's cool and impactful that is the antithesis of boring?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Listen to our podcast. We'd love for you to join the conversation. You'll forget you're not actually hanging out with us.
That's From the Middle, available wherever you find podcasts and at From the Mid Pod everywhere.
Hey ladies, come listen with me, Mixie Plum, as wonderful women I know, or even just met, share their soulful stories and experiences for them and us to all learn and heal together. But in my own riot girl kind of way, explicitly, confidently, and loud. We all want to speak, we all want to be heard, we all want to be understood. Roar more with me and open your lady mouth. Disclaimer, lady mouth is also for dudes, too.
Hi, I'm Shannon.
I'm Jamie.
We're Married with Television, marriedwithtv.com. We are a couple of Hollywood normies on the outskirts of the film and TV industry, and we talk about our favorite TV shows, music, and movies, and sometimes they talk back to us.
Sometimes they do.
Our podcast is Married with Television, one word, on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
Possibly Amazon soon. And we are a proud member of the Odd Pods Media Network.
Married with TV!
MarriedWithTV.com.
And we're back. We're going to get into our main topic, which is going to be all about buying physical media. So let's do it.
It's time for the Infectious Group Podcast, main topic of discussion.
So this topic is brought to you by the fact that Michelle complained on the show a couple of weeks ago about Kyle buying too many records. And y'all may not have noticed during the show, but like literally when that came out of your mouth, Michelle, I was kind of like, oh, and like got my phone out and was doing something, I was not texting someone during the show. I was making a note of like, I don't have that on my topics.
I thought you were making a note to buy Kyle more records.
Yeah, sending text to Kyle. You need to be more covert about this. Talk to me after the show.
I'll teach you how I sneak records into the house.
Yeah. You see that all over there? Stacy thinks I have 4. But literally, like when you mentioned that, I was like, you know what? We haven't discussed yet, like the actual buying physical media. And also, and we'll get into this in a little bit, another thing that came about, and I don't know if I discussed this with you guys or not at all, but there was a, I don't want to use too harsh a language. There was a ruckus. A kerfuffle in the vinyl community recently because Walmart out of nowhere had a sale where every single LP in every one of their stores was $15. Like this wasn't a mistake. It was a sale that Walmart did. You couldn't order them online. You had to physically go to a Walmart.
Do fucking what now? Where was my memo?
So hold on. I didn't even hear about it until 2 days after it happened. But so,
damn it.
Where you have the average LP that comes out these days is like $25. So you would already be saving $10 there. Right. And then there were people that were getting like some of the Pink Floyd reissues that had come out in the past like 5 years or so. There's a reissue of The Wall that's like, if you can find a deal on it, it's $45, and people were walking out of Walmart with it for $15. But it caused a stink in the vinyl community because everybody lost their mind and was like, how many record sales did that just take from your local record store, which is already in need during the pandemic in the first place, let alone during the pandemic? And there were a lot of people attacking each other in the vinyl community, like, hey, a deal's a deal. What am I supposed to do? Just pay a lot more money because, the record store can't do this type of deal and whatever. And then of course there's this side effect. There was a whole bunch of flippers. Like if you go on eBay and whatnot, there's people that, oh, look, a brand new pressing of The Wall for $30. What a deal. Yeah. It's because you're taking me for double what you paid for it, but then you're still $15 less than it was if you go buy it somewhere else. Michelle complaining and the Walmart deal are what are bringing you this topic today. So what is with you guys? Where is the main place? Like Michelle, I know, and I'm not being funny about this, I know Kyle does more of the record buying in your house, but I do know you have made it a point several times to buy the physical copies of things. So where is your main source? Do you go directly to a local record store? Do you try and buy right from the artist's website? Do you just get it off of Amazon? What do you do?
I'm the worst.
Walmart. Here comes the Walmart.
I am lazy and I just buy it from Amazon most of the time, unless it's something I can't find. Then I usually buy it from Discogs or eBay or whatever. I bought several things off there of stuff that
Am I making this up? Am I giving you too much credit? I thought you also went to a lot of artist websites to buy stuff directly.
Well, no, I do that as well. You're asking where I buy the majority of my stuff is through
almost always Amazon.
Unless it's like if it's a new release, if it's a pre-order, I definitely support, like I'll buy it from the artist directly. And I guess it depends on what it is too. Like you and I have had this discussion, Russ, where like the Beatles don't need any more money.
Right.
And I don't need to buy it from the Beatles website, but if it's a local artist, I would definitely, and I bought records at shows before and like that kind of thing. And it's not that even that I hate the record store, it's that it's inconvenient and that makes me an asshole. And I know that. I'm well aware. If it was on my way to or from work, 100% I would stop by and I don't even mind paying more.
I'm not going to be honest with you. I'm not going to attack you here, but inconvenient is the worst excuse you could possibly have for not going to the record store.
I started this entire thing by saying I'm an asshole.
No, you said you're the worst and ended it with you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Both true.
Okay.
Both true.
Both of those statements are true, and I stand by them.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue either of those statements. And there's a lot of people still mad about the aforementioned tournament who also think you're the worst and you're an asshole. Kyle, now I know that you buy direct from artist websites when you can, and you also do Amazon and some big box, right? And again, I'm referencing when Michelle was complaining, she was saying like you guys can't go into Target without you buying a record. That's where I'm getting big box from. Am I right on that?
Yeah, I've never. So I have vinyl in my cart on Amazon, but I've never purchased vinyl off of Amazon. So I cannot say that I have done that. But yeah, when we were at Target last time, I just randomly went and panic bought 3 records while we were there.
Kyle, tell them what you told me.
Panic bought.
What?
Tell them what you told me about the record store. About a record store.
I'm kind of ashamed to admit this, but I've never gone into a record only store and bought a record. It's been But also keep in mind, I've only been buying vinyl for, I don't even know, like 5 months now. So
Sure.
it's not even, before that I would never have ventured into a record store because it was out of my like league or territory. I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
He didn't even own a record player, so.
Well,
yes, but now I feel comfortable enough to, with the vinyl that I buy and knowing about it, to go into a record store and be able to go and pick through stuff and find something that I like and so on and so forth.
So I think I know the answer to this next question on the list already, but I'll ask it anyways. And actually, we'll go backwards. So, Kyle, how important is it to you personally to make sure that you shop at a local record store?
Well, more important now that I am collecting records and it has become a part of like my regular thing that I do now. You would have never found me in a record store even a year ago. I was just like, that's not I was still big on
Streaming and digital, and yeah, sure.
No, he used to buy tapes and CDs. Don't lie.
Oh, well, yeah, I did collect some CDs. Now I think it is super important for, if you can, to go and, a lot of towns in bigger cities have several record shops, so you definitely should go there and buy but they, and the same token, sometimes these smaller record stores don't always have the variety that maybe some person's looking for.
Yeah.
But they might be able to get a hold of it, but they might not have it, what you're looking for at the time, and it might lead you to go and, venture online or go to a big box store that you think might have it. I don't know.
Yeah, because of the immediacy of everything. You expect to be able to walk in and out of somewhere with what you want, and if you can't find it at a local record store, or like you said too, if they don't carry the genre you're looking for, like this is kind of more information for the locals, but somebody here, like I am extremely loyal to Dearborn Music, but that's because they carry almost exactly what I want. Like they carry a bulk of the genres I listen to, and the genres that I'm only kind of into, they carry like a little bit of. So like they fit my needs perfectly. But if you
it's Russ's record store,
more or less, yeah. I think they're going to rename it soon. But if you go out to like Street Corner Music here in Detroit or Found Sound, you're going to find a complete like Kyle. You would get lost in Street Corner Music in like 5 minutes because they that's your store. Like they carry exactly the type, like more hip hop and underground leaning music they carry there, like it's available right in store. And I think that's cool too, to be able to have that ability. But again, all that stuff can fall under the umbrella. So for me personally, like Dearborn Music is number one, hands down, but I will use, Amazon if I have to. And sometimes for me, it comes down to price. Like Michelle, with you're doing Amazon solely for convenience, right? Like you're not like, the local record store is going to be $5 more on this record, so I'm going to save $5 and get it off of Amazon. It's literally just the convenience factor.
150% convenience. If Dearborn Music, and maybe I should have looked into this, but if they offered online ordering,
they do
of records, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well then I'm going to back that up. I don't know why I don't shop at Dearborn because I do like them. I don't. I do know they were doing curbside during COVID for a while, which was awesome.
Yep.
I just don't think of it. Honest to God, I just am like a creature of habit, and that's where I get mostly everything I buy is from Amazon.
Yeah.
So like that's where I go for my music.
I'll tell you too. Like I'm ride or die Amazon. I text you guys constantly. Like, I'm in Dearborn Music again. Not Amazon, but Dearborn Music. But there have been price differences enough to where I've been like, this sucks, but I'm going to buy these 2 records here and put this third one back and order it from Amazon because it's like a $10 price difference.
Yeah, you know what? I don't ever price match records. Like I guess maybe the ones that I'm buying are not rare. They're usually like new releases, or if it's under like $25, like I just am like, that's a good deal. Like that's fine. I don't really care if it's $2 cheaper somewhere else. But
yeah,
I could see how if it was like a $50 record, then you'd want to make sure you're getting the best deal.
Kyle, what were you going to say about the price difference?
Well, I will say that literally 95% of what I buy is off of the artist's website, and then typically they'll have it in their own little store on their website, and if not, it will link to the record. Unfortunately, the record label that they're on, and then you can get it that way as well, which is what I typically do.
Mm.
But also, I get wrapped up in price differences, and then there's like 40 different versions, and every store offers a special edition, and it becomes a whole shitstorm. So I try to like narrow it down to something specific that I'm looking for, and I don't care if Best Buy has a version and Amazon has a version. I want typically I just buy whatever the artist is selling on their website.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's not the special editions that that they've linked up with stores to sell and that have an extra track or a different color vinyl and whatnot.
Yeah. This will kind of lead us into the next thing. So one thing I do like that a lot of artists are doing is special editions specifically for indie stores, like, to make sure that you buy it from an indie store. For example, the cover on Sturgill's latest record, or the one that was the latest record, Cutting Grass Volume 1, is a yellow background with a green picture of him on a tractor. And if you buy it at an indie store, one record is green and the other one's yellow to match the cover art on the record, right? But if you buy it anywhere else, you're going to get a black vinyl copy. And so that was kind of like hey, show loyalty to your record store and get this more limited version.
Yeah, even if you buy them on his website, they're both black vinyl.
Yeah. But on the other hand, though, there's a ton of like big box exclusives too, where like, Target gets this color of this vinyl, or Walmart with never ever has Poison's Greatest Hits been available on vinyl. And now I got to buy it from Walmart because that's the only place that it's even available. Like my option to even support a local record store has been taken out of the equation because the only place you can get it is this big box store.
I will say that whatever color the record is will not sway me to buy it at a certain place. Like I understand, and I think that that's rad that they do that, but like that has never been a deciding factor for me.
Kyle, how do you feel about that? I don't think we've ever discussed that. I will tell you, there's one record variant that I will kill with fire. Like I absolutely cannot stand. Other than that, I personally don't really care that much about colored vinyl and variants and stuff. How do you feel about that?
I'm big into the overall aesthetics of what you're getting. So I don't care so much that like certain stores have certain colors and whatnot, but like Music to Be Murdered By, there was a special edition that came out and the vinyl was white. It was like blood splattered all over it.
Yep.
To me, that's awesome. And that's a cool touch that like they didn't have to do. And it overall doesn't matter. But like to me, that adds something that I would buy that if the two were sitting next to each other and I could buy like either the black or the red vinyl that they came out with, or there was the splatter one. I would buy the splatter one just because it looks cooler to me.
Would you pay more for the splatter one?
Yeah, and it was more expensive when it came out, and I probably would if not $20 more, like $5 more maybe.
Gotcha. See, here's my thing with variants. Number one, there's a lot of artists now who are trying to get in on the variant game. Like, for example, and I found out about this on channel 33 RPM, Frank Landry's YouTube channel. Ace Frehley, who was the original guitar player in Kiss, his latest solo record that is out, there's like 15 different color vinyl variants of that. And that is absolutely an artist. I mean, he was in Kiss working his fan base for buy 15. Are they
trying to get people to buy them all?
Oh, absolutely. And Taylor Swift did the same thing with Folklore. There's like 15 different versions of that on vinyl because...
Wait, versions or...
No, the music is exactly the same on all of them.
Okay.
But
they want you to collect all of the different versions as the idea.
These are not Pokemon. Nope.
Right. And Foo Fighters did it with Sonic Highways. There were 9 cover variants, and if you bought all 9 records, they all made a huge cover together. And I literally walked in the record store and people were like comparing and figuring out which, and I was like, whatever. Like I just grabbed one, because my
who's going to put them all together?
Well, some hyper Foo Fighters or Taylor Swift fan or Kiss fan, like that's who they're marketing that toward. Is getting that extra money, When
we watched Vinyl Nation and they were talking about how they do all the different cool things for records for them to appeal to people and whatnot, I'm definitely one of those people that like aesthetically, like if you have all this awesome stuff that comes with the record, I'm more apt to buy that version. Like even if the record was scented, that's great. I like any of that kind of stuff. I think is cool.
So first of all, let me say to your point, I don't disagree with that. If there's like a variant that's for a fan, like Roger Waters' Amused to Death is one of my all-time favorite records. I have 3 different versions of it, 2 of which are the most recent pressing because there were differences on them. But that's because I'm a mega fan of that record, right? And I'm fine with that because there's only 2 versions of it. You know what I mean? Like it's not 14 versions of Amused to Death or whatever, you know, because I'm the guy that would have bought all 14 versions of Amused to Death. But total sidebar, Kyle, you just reminded me of a story from my childhood that's funny. And I this is probably before both of your time, but the album by Madonna, Like a Prayer, like the actual album, Like a Prayer, there was a publicity stunt when that record came out on CD, vinyl, and cassette. It was all of the original copies that went out the first week that the album was released. Were the covers were doused in Madonna's perfume.
Oh.
And we were on a family trip. I don't remember to where, probably driving down to Disney or something. I don't know. We were on a family road trip and I was not aware of this as like, I don't know, a 11, 12-year-old, whenever that record came out, went into a mall on a stop with a family road trip, bought Like a Prayer on cassette, got back into the family van, opened it, and then stunk everyone out of the car. Like everyone in the car was like, "Oh my God, what is that smell? Like what?" And I was like, "It's coming from the cassette." Like
it's Madonna.
Yeah. And I had no idea why. And then like later that day, because you know you had to read the newspaper or watch TV. At the hotel, like on MTV News or something, I saw the story and I was like, "That's why the cassette stinks because it's doused in her perfume." So it was
to me that's something that's cool. And when artists make the sleeves or the jackets, make them textured or like part of them are cut out and they fill in other parts and like just shit like that. To me that's awesome, and it's just adding another element to why you should be buying the record.
Oh, for sure. And I don't disagree. And especially when it's an artist's personal touch. I just wanted to share that Madonna story because it was really funny because I had no idea like that was a thing. And then I opened this cassette and like almost killed our whole family with the smell of it. But the only objection I have to that, Kyle, is when it's not the artist's personal touch. Like, for example, Ace Frehley doesn't care about the 15 shades of vinyl that his latest record is on. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The Foo Fighters, I would argue, probably did care about like, because Sonic Highways was this whole documentary they made about like traveling to different cities and making the album, and the different covers are like the cities that they recorded in and whatever. So although it's gimmicky, I would imagine that there's more artistic nobility behind that, right? Than just going, here's a bunch of different, colored vinyl, And then I mentioned when we got into this part of the discussion, picture discs are the devil, and I want them erased off of the planet.
I was going to say that I'm pretty sure that we can all agree on that, and I'm willing to just say that the entire world agrees with us, and like we should just get rid of that. Like, who do we talk to about that then?
There is. It's funny. I was just looking into this last night. There is the only version of Kanye West and Jay-Z album.
Watch the Throne.
Yes. Oh God. Yeah. The only episode or the only version of Watch the Throne that you can get. It's a double LP, and both of them are picture discs.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst.
And it comes in this elaborate, awesome packaging. It's super limited, super hard to get, and they're damn picture discs.
Yep. And then just so I don't want to talk over everybody's head, I know you two know this, but like to the listening audience, if you're not a vinyl collector or you don't, you don't know what the big deal is about picture discs. The problem with picture discs is they're not vinyl. They're made of plastic. So all of the arguments that you might make about, vinyl sounds better for this, that, and the other reason, you're using an entire different medium. And the plastic is known for being very noisy, whatever you're thinking. If someone's listening to the show and they're like, yeah, but vinyl has pops and clicks, whatever you're thinking, it's 100 times worse than that.
I do know people buy picture discs to frame. Like,
right.
I used to have the Watchmen had a picture disc that was in a frame. But we never figured out that anomaly of that picture disc for the Mumford & Sons.
Now there are new technologies being used for printing on vinyl. Like I've seen since you and I talked about that. And again, for the listening audience, there's a Mumford & Sons 7-inch that looks like it's a picture disc, but it is not. Like it somehow looks like a picture disc, but sounds.
But it's vinyl.
Exactly like vinyl. And I've actually come across some YouTube videos recently of all of this brand new technology that's out there for different ways to press into vinyl. So that might be something that they use. Speaking of which, by the way, they had a live EP come out on vinyl yesterday. and I was not made aware of it last night until about, 1 in the morning.
Well, then I guess I should go to Dearborn.
You should go to Dearborn Music or your local record store.
I will say that before we go any further, if there is something I know for a fact I'm not going to find on a website, at a record store, or at a big box store, then I am going to Discogs or eBay.
Oh, yeah. I don't use eBay so much anymore. Nothing really against eBay. It's just ever since I found Discogs, it's just easier to find the exact version of something that I'm looking for.
I've used, you can ask Michelle, I got all obsessed about that Still Tippin' song by Mike Jones and Paul Wall and Slim Thug. And I was like, I refuse to buy the Mike Jones album just for that song.
Sorry, I can't let that name be said without doing that, but go on.
So I was like, there has to be a single that was released for promo stuff for this, and sure as shit on Discogs some guy had it, and I think I paid like $15 for it or something like that, but it is exactly what I wanted. It sounds perfect. It is just what I was looking for. And I wouldn't have been able to find that anywhere except for on Discogs where some random guy had it.
Oh man, I found so much cool stuff on Discogs. I would say Discogs is probably my go-to after Dearborn Music. Like if I walk in and I talk to the owner at Dearborn Music and I say, hey, I've never been able to find this. Do you ever come across it? And he gives me a look like I haven't seen that album in 10 years in this store. Then I immediately go to Discogs, and usually I find out that it was only pressed in Brazil or overseas somewhere or whatever else. And then I just figure out the best, most reputable seller and get it from there. One that springs to mind is Queen live at Wembley. It's a crime, but that record has never been pressed on vinyl in the US. So I'm not going to walk into, any local record store and find a copy of that laying around. So I had to go on Discogs to get it.
Even used?
Well, no, because it's not just floating around anybody who has that record in the US isn't going to sell it because to a used record store, because they would have gone through a lot to get it from overseas.
What if they need to buy more records?
They're not going to sell that one.
Even though I know that picture discs are the devil, I would absolutely, if I could get my hands on Watch the Throne, I would absolutely, just to have it.
Just a collector's piece, yeah.
I just want that so badly, and no, I would not frame it. I would listen to it, but I was very, very saddened to find out that they are both, in fact, picture discs.
I will never understand why that happens. I've actually passed on records, been like, oh, finally, this is getting a repress on vinyl. Oh, it's a picture disc. Never mind. And then I'll just wait.
You passed on that Mumford.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's because I didn't know the technology that was involved in that one. That was a different story. So the last thing I want to ask you guys, and I think this frames a little differently. Are there any destination record stores, like quote unquote famous record stores, that if you were in a certain city, you would take time to make sure to go to? I'll give you a couple of examples and see if you agree with these or you would want to go there, or if there's one you can think of. Like the first time that I went to Los Angeles years ago, as soon as I got off the plane, I wanted to make sure that I got to Amoeba Records, because it's just a famous one. Grimey's in Nashville. Before we had our very own Third Man Records right here in Detroit, first time I went to Nashville, I had to get to Third Man Records in addition to Grimey's. I think Electric Fetus in Minneapolis. The last time I was in Minneapolis, you couldn't stop me from getting to Electric Fetus for two reasons. Number one, it's a famous record store. And number two, it's the last place that Prince shopped before he left us. He was in there on record store day, making his record store day purchases, and then passed away 3 days later. So I absolutely had to go there. Are there any that you guys can think of that if you were in a certain city, you're like, I'm going there? Or when you travel to certain cities, do you go, hey, while I'm here, I want to see what's around, maybe a record store I haven't heard of?
So this one time when I went to Iceland, I made specifically sure that I went to a record store to get a record.
So hold on, just to be clear, you won't stop at Dearborn Music because it's not on your way to and up. But if you happen to be strolling through Iceland,
there was that Kaleo, whichever one you're going to edit out later.
Right.
That.
Thanks for pronouncing that correctly, by the way.
We could not get shipped here no matter how many dollars we threw at the record company or Kaleo, or we were like, please give us this record. And they're like, nah. Yep. So when I happened to be there, I went to a record store. But the only other place that I can think of that I didn't it wasn't on my agenda. I was just like, if it happens, it happens. And is it Amoeba that's in San Francisco too?
They have a satellite store in San Francisco.
So when I was in San Francisco, we were walking by, and I was like, holy shit, I want to walk through there. And I did walk through there and look around, but it wasn't, and I knew that it was somewhere there, but it wasn't like, I have to go here right now. Like, I want to go and look. So
last time I was in San Francisco, I made sure I drove past the Full House. So that's my.
I did do that too.
Yeah.
I did that too. So.
Kyle, do you have any? Now, Kyle, do you typically travel to Iceland or Russia or Japan to make a trip to a record store? Or? I'm waiting for Kyle to trump you. You know, sometimes I like to go to the moon and.
Amoeba is on the top of the list that I definitely would. Yeah, and when we were watching Vinyl Nation, and they had the guy who's the founder of Amoeba on there, and I was like, holy shit, that guy created Amoeba Records, holy shit! Like it's very like just cool to me that's a thing and such a famous like iconic place.
Two footnotes about Amoeba. Number one is I've been there twice, and the second to the last time that I was there, just recently, the latest Lone Bellow record had come out, and Stacy and I moved all of them to the front of the L's. And then, and then took a picture and sent it to the band, and was like, "Look what we did." And like one of them,
we fixed it.
Yeah, one of them replied and was like, "Oh, nice work," or whatever. So there's that. But I will tell you this, Kyle, from my first, because when you go into like Grimey's or Electric Fetus is kind of big, but a lot of these like storied record stores, when you get in the door, you're like, "Oh, this is it." Like they're a lot, you know what I mean? Like they're a lot smaller than the Legend. Like Third Man in Cass Corridor here in Detroit is like 3 times the size of the one that's in Nashville. So have you both been to the Third Man that's here in Detroit?
Yeah. I was gonna tell you that the first and only time I've ever been inside Third Man was when we went to that podcast recording.
Oh, right.
I've actually never been inside.
Okay, well,
I know we've driven by it a lot, but yeah, that was just the last time, or the only time I've ever been inside.
So take the size of that from what you remember. The one in Nashville is like a third of that size. So
that one is about the size of my living room.
Yeah, and so
I'm sure that in the back where they were recorded, was that all supposed to be records too?
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's more back there. But the one in Nashville, I went running in the door, like 10 years ago, and was like, "Oh my God, I'm at Third Man." Oh, that's it. I swung open the front door and almost hit my head on the back door. You know what I mean? Like I was like, "Whoa!" But anyways, that's a long way of saying, Kyle, Amoeba is everything you want it to be. Like you got to park under it, and then you come up an escalator, and like when you come up the escalator, it's like the clouds parting.
That's awesome.
A ray of sunlight comes down upon you, and you're just like, you guys know how I am about, like, you've seen my own music collection. There's too much for me to look at in Amoeba.
Is it overwhelming?
Yes, because every genre you've ever heard of, they have an extensive amount of. So it's like, if you walked in there and you're like, I'm looking for electronica with a little bit of rap and jazz, but also kind of a Christmas feel, they're like, oh, that section's over there. And there's like a whole section of like that type of music. And then the one thing I want to say, and this always leads into a Michelle don't tell me what to do joke, but one thing that I really think that people don't think about with local record stores, and Kyle, I would tell you to use this all day long at Dearborn, is talk to the people in the record stores. Like, these people love music. So if you go in there, worst case scenario, you're going to say, I'm looking for, I'm into this, this, and this, and I'm looking for something like it. And they're going to be like, well, I don't know much about those artists. That's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you're going to have somebody go like, oh my God, if you love that dude, like, you need to hear this. Or, whatever. And I can tell you, I've blind bought so many records in the past 10 years based on suggestions from friends, family, record store employees. The band Fun, Some Nights, is the record that blew up. And when I was buying that at Dearborn Music, the guy that was ringing me up for it was like, you have got to hear the album before this. And I went back and blind bought the record before that, Aim and Ignite. And Michelle, I know you're real glad that I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good record.
It's a fantastic album. And Leon Bridges, I was in Dearborn Music, and somebody was putting it on the shelf, his first record on the shelf. And I was like, I've never heard of him. What's the story? And they were like, do you like Sam Cooke? I was like, yeah. And the guy literally took it off the shelf, put it in my hands like a High Fidelity type moment, and was like, you need to take this with you today, And so really use that. Like, Kyle, I bet if you went into Street Corner and started throwing around names that you like, you'd be in there for 4 hours.
Yeah, see, now
go to Street Corner.
Now that I feel more comfortable, I feel more comfortable being. I would feel more comfortable doing that now versus like before. I would never. I always was just intimidated, and I thought that like I was just as soon as I would walk in the door, I'd be in over my head because I had no idea about anything having to do with vinyl. But now I feel like I could go in there and I can have a conversation about different variations, or maybe someone that sounds like somebody else, or anything like that.
Yeah, and what you said, you referenced Vinyl Nation, the film, and we did have the directors of that film on the show, and one of the things that I love about that film is they really go out of their way to point out that the days of the record snob are really either over or coming to a close. Like when you go into these record stores now, it used to very much be like, oh, I'm cooler than you, I know more than you, or whatever. If you ask a question, oh, you don't know that. And now they're in the situation, pandemic or not, where they need to focus more on customer service. So you get a lot of people that want to talk to you about music instead of trying to make you feel like they know more and you shouldn't even be asking about that record,
And that's how it should be. That's how you get more people into what you're into, is by showing them things, not by being like, oh, you don't even know what you're talking about.
Michelle, are you taking notes on this particular portion of the show? Just like how to be nicer to people? Are you?
Where's my camera?
And I will. This is completely unrelated to music, but it happens with every kind of like niche community that there is. Like being a reptile keeper, I'm a part of different reptile like forums and pages and whatnot. And every time someone posts something asking a question about doing something or what they should be doing for some sort of reptile they have, they get ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
Instead of somebody being like, look, this is what you need to do. This, just being welcoming them and showing them what needs to happen, they just get torn apart, and then no one wants to even be a part of that shit.
Yeah, I'll tell you the one part of the vinyl community that for me that is still snobby, and I don't think is ever going to change. If you want to have some fun sometime, go on a vinyl forum or a vinyl YouTube page, pick any turntable on earth, do a $10,000 turntable, a $100 turntable, post a link and be like, hey, I'm thinking about buying this. What do you guys think? And you will get buried in hate. Like no matter what.
And a lot of the hate will be like, I don't even own that record, but I've heard some things. Or,
Yeah. So, online, gonna online. You know what I mean? Like, like the Walmart thing. What's funny is us and Nick from the Vinyl Dens and Frank Landry from Channel 33, like all three of our YouTube channels are like inclusive and we want to help people, but there is literally a whole cross section of the vinyl community that's just like, no, I'm just cooler than you. And it's like, and the record stores used to be that way. Like real life used to be like the record store scenes in High Fidelity, and it's not anymore.
A $40 record, a $25 record, that's expensive, and not every 16, 17-year-old kid who's taking a liking to vinyl can afford to go drop $40 on a record. So if Walmart is going to give him an option to buy one for $15, and maybe he can buy 3 of them for the price that he'd be able to buy one normally, then more power to him. I hate Walmart with every fiber of my being, but if they are going to allow people to get into something and enjoy it without having to, be homeless because they spent all their money on records, then more power to them.
For sure. Let me give you an example. And we talked about several times on the show, but especially on that Vinyl Nation episode, we talked about what's wrong with the pricing in vinyl. When I went to the record store yesterday, I was looking for there's a newer release from RCA Records with some Elvis material from 1969. And regular listeners of the show will know that Elvis Presley's career for me didn't even start till 1969. So like this is like right in my wheelhouse, I picked it up off the shelf and saw that it was $26.99 for a 2 LP set, and literally almost jumped for joy in the aisle. Like I was like, oh, this is way cheaper than I thought it was. Like that's a problem. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't be picking up a $26 item being like, oh, this is way cheaper than I thought it was going to be, So go ahead.
I've gotten to the point where if I have extra money or something, I don't even, as long as it's not super expensive, I don't even get caught up with how much it costs, because I'm going to be mad about how expensive it is to begin with. So I just am like, if it's not, as long as it's not $70 or something, then okay, fine, whatever. But there's people who pay thousands of dollars for one record. So
yep. Yeah, I don't even know what the most I've paid for one record is, but I've certainly paid quite a bit for ones, and for now they continue to appreciate value, which is cool. But yeah, it's especially with music, beauty is in the eye. Well, with any art, beauty's in the eye of the beholder or the listener, and it's all up to what you're going to pay. I do think, and we talked about this extensively before, I do think we're going to hit a pricing bubble where things are going to go downhill because of the pricing, and record labels don't have the best history of learning their lesson with mistreating customers. So we'll see. So
it's almost like we're stuck because this is how they're made is like I wouldn't want to use the word ancient, but like a very, very old way of making something. So trying to figure out a new, cheaper way to be able to replicate that is, I think, where we're stuck at.
Right, for sure.
Because it's just all around us. It's an expensive thing to get involved in with creating and making. So I don't know how we can improve that.
Right on. Well, this has been a fun and spirited debate. Michelle, basically your thoughts are, if you don't have to drive more than 5 minutes out of the way, then yay, local business. If not, then big corporations, here we come. That's my takeaway.
That's my motto for life.
Right.
It's not just record stores.
Right.
So.
And Kyle, my takeaway from you is you are getting a little more comfortable. The water's starting to feel a little warmer on your nether regions, and you're looking to go a little deeper in the water now.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to get crucified for saying that I had never purchased anything directly from, physically picking it out of a record store.
Dude, let me say this. Man. Let me say this, not from our audience. You know what I mean? Like I say, if you went on like a vinyl forum and said that, people would lose their mind on you. But like, I think our audience would, there's probably a great cross section of our audience that would, hearing you say that probably makes them feel better. You know what I mean? I haven't done that either.
Completely honest, I not only do I just buy, I literally buy everything that I buy online. So it's not like I'm just being lazy and just buying all my records online. I buy all the shit that I buy online.
It's not like you're being lazy like somebody else on the show. Fantastic.
I already admitted that I'm lazy.
Right. All right. Well, we are going to wrap the discussion there. Now, if all things go well, this evening, I will have the pleasure of interviewing a person from a band who is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and we will bring that to you next week. If all doesn't go well tonight, then we will pick a different topic and bring you all sorts of sparkling conversation about that. And Michelle can tell us how she doesn't care and doesn't want to go out of her way, and it was too hard to open another app or any number of ways. Yup. Like we always say about this time, without music, life would be a mistake. Bye.
The Infectious Groove podcast is hosted by Russ Robinson, Kyle Wimple, and Michelle Koselecki. Produced and edited by Russ Robinson. Intro and outro music composed by Chris Kimmel. Opening credits read by Stacey Robinson. Recorded with a Rode Podcaster Pro and Rode Pod mics.